people are always posting on, hey, what's the best app for this? What's the best app for that? And we're always focusing on getting all these apps and all these things that are going to streamline, and we think it's going to make life more simple when oftentimes it just complicates things even more. So sometimes we have to take a step back and understand, are we really trying to simplify our life, or are we just actually complicating it even more?
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it.
Hey, real quick before we get started, first of all, I wanted to thank everybody for joining us on the show and for listening. To all my loyal listeners, I really appreciate you, continuing to listen and support the show. If you can go on to iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you listen and subscribe to the show, that would be fantastic. Spread the word too. I'd love to, have this reach more and more people. So if you could share it on social media or and just talk about it to other people, that would be fantastic. And the last thing is, if you can go onto iTunes and give us a rating review, hopefully 5 stars, that would be great as well. It just helps us spread the word more, and it helps us continue to get really good guests on the show. We've had some fantastic guests, and I just want to be able to continue to bring fantastic value to you. Go onto our Facebook page too, Pillars of Wealth Facebook page, and I'd like to hear from you as a listener of what you're doing in business, what you've got going on, what you are maybe struggling with or being successful with, and then what we can do on the show to help push you to that next level. Maybe questions we can ask our guests, maybe guests that we can get on the show to talk about certain topics, certain things that are really you're needing some extra support with. So provide for us some feedback on Facebook, and you can also share this out on social media. That would be fantastic as well. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being a either new listener or a loyal listener. I definitely appreciate it, and we will get started with the show.
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Hump Day Hustle, the show where we focus on business and real estate as our core pillars of wealth creation. My name is John Stiles with Bridge Realty, and I'm excited for another great episode. Today, we're going to be discussing a book by Cal Newport called Deep Work, Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World. And so with that, here is our host, Todd Dexheimer. Todd, how are you doing today?
I am doing excellent, John. How are you?
Doing great. Just this past weekend, was able to get away from the kids a little bit. The in-laws were in town, and my wife and I went camping for maybe the first time ever, just the two of us. So
perfect. Pawn the kids off. That's great, especially when it's to the in-laws. Take the kids, and you guys can go enjoy yourselves a little bit. So perfect. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. What about yourself? Anything new?
Yeah. So I didn't get to pawn my kids off, but I was on a business trip last week, and just kind of wanted to hit on a couple things on the business trip. First of all, I get a lot of people that ask me kind of what I do during the business trip and how I maximize my time. And for me, it's super important because I'm going to be spending time away from my family. So I want to make sure I maximize my time. And then I only get a certain amount of trips out of state and into the markets that I'm in. So I want to maximize my time. So really important for me to be able to spend as much time as I can meeting with brokers and meeting with property managers, lenders, just anybody that I want to and need to contact in the market. And then making sure I spend time touring properties, if there's any properties to tour, and just really putting in a lot of time and effort. So for me, when people ask what I do, it's, hey, I'm going from as early as in the morning as possible. So usually I'm getting up fairly early, doing a workout, and then I'm going to my properties and doing property tours. I might be meeting with brokers and so on. So I'm usually going from either my property or meeting with brokers from about 8 or 9 a.m. because that's usually when people want to get started. And then I'm going until typically pretty late. I try to set up either a dinner if I can, or maybe even some drinks after dinner. So I'm usually going from, let's say, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., maybe even 10 p.m. Or later. So, and it's kind of nonstop. So I just wanted to kind of hit on that real quick. It was a great trip. We closed on a property last month, and we closed at 89% occupancy. Right now, we are leased out at 95.5% occupancy. So that's awesome. That was really, really good news. We've renovated 14 units, and we've had an average rent bump of around $120 per month, and our projections were at $90 per month. So we're already doing better than what we projected. We're coming in at or below budget, and our occupancy is way better than what we underwrote. We actually underwrote 1 year occupancy to be averaging 80%. And we're looking like we're actually potentially going to be doing a lot better than that. So, a couple key things. Of course, conservative underwriting always helps, but sound management, it has been awesome with this property. So that's great. And I got to tour some of my other properties that aren't quite doing that well, but things are looking good, and there's some good trends, and really excited about what's going on at those other properties as well. And then, of course, touring some off-market deals that maybe have some potential and hopefully some legs, and potentially have hopefully another deal here coming up within the next few weeks.
Cool. Well, that's quite a bit going on there. I want to dive into one little piece there, if it's okay. The occupancy, or the leasing up of those units, was that anything that caused by you guys and your take over the management, or was it already on that trajectory to get there, or what made that huge change in a short amount of time?
Yeah, honestly, it was not on any trajectory. It was flatlined for quite some time. It's taking over the units, doing quick renovations, and showing the market the product that they actually are desiring. So the market's desiring a decent product, and the product that we have already is not terrible, but it's 1987. So nothing's been updated since 1987. And we're taking it and just doing that next level update. So tenants are excited to be able to have something like that. They want to move into it. And so it's just strong marketing right away, and quick turns to get the product ready for new tenants to be able to move into. So yeah, honestly, just sound management. This management company is really good. They're really good at getting the word out there. And boy, I mean, when I was at the property, the phone didn't stop ringing the entire time, and they couldn't answer the phone fast enough, which leads me to, I guess, something else is we're looking at implementing a phone service where we have a live person on the other end. So after 5 rings, or maybe even 3 rings, the phone automatically transfers over to this live person on the other end that can answer the phone and set up showings and so on. So we want to make sure, obviously, we're being effective with the on-site manager's time. We don't want them only answering the phones all day. If that's all they're doing, well, we're paying them a lot of money to do that. So we might as well pay service to be able to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go on a trip like this, where you're kind of packing it full of meetings and tours and travel, do you come back kind of exhausted and need to crash and recover, or is it just business as usual?
Yeah, pretty much just business as usual, quite frankly. Usually a trip like this, I come back and I'm spending a lot of time after I come back trying to get caught up, because I never quite have enough time to get everything else done, because usually I get back to my hotel room and I work until whenever I fall asleep, midnight or whatever. And then, answering emails and so on. And I get up in the morning, and anytime I have before meetings, I'm answering emails, but usually I can never quite get caught up. So, I got back on Thursday morning, I think, 10, 11 o'clock. I had a bunch of meetings set up already. And then after that, it was trying to get caught back up. So that's just how it goes. But no, I never have time to crash. Nor just, that's just not me. I don't know. I just don't.
Very good.
Hey, I'm super excited to announce the North Star Real Estate Conference that I am putting together along with a few other friends, and we are expecting to have a great crowd there. This is going to be September 20th and 21st in Minneapolis, in the Twin Cities area. And hey, it'll still be warm, and we're going to have a ton of great speakers there. We're going to have some motivational speakers. We're expecting to have speakers talking about a lot of different commercial real estate topics, multifamily and commercial real estate. So we want you there. We would love to have a great crowd there. We would love to have you there. And the cool thing with this conference is all the profits are going to benefit charity. They're going to benefit Junior Achievement specifically, who they serve underserved youth, and they bring financial education to them. They not only teach financial education, but they teach the kids how to be entrepreneurs, how to be business leaders, and how to really do fantastic things after they're out of school and moving on. So that's who we're going to be benefiting. We're going to also have a charity gala. It's going to be a fun event, and I'd love to have you attend. So again, it's called the North Star Real Estate Conference. Check it out. We've got links that we'll put on the show notes. We would love to have you there. We'd love to have you attend. Speaker lineup is coming, and that'll be announced shortly. We do have a few speakers already lined up, so you'll be able to see that. We've got Trevor McGregor will be our keynote speaker. He's a master platinum coach. So you're going to love this event. We are going to just have a ton of fun and learn a bunch, and also benefit a great organization as well. I will see you there. Check out our show notes for the links.
Okay, well, should we get into this book a little bit then?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So I heard the reason why I liked this book is I actually heard Cal Newport, I think, on, believe it was Bigger Pockets podcast. And he was talking about deep work, and he was also talking about actually unplugging a little bit from your social media and all that kind of stuff. And that really grabbed my attention. I like that idea of being able to unplug a little bit. I think I, along with probably most of the listeners and potentially you, we're almost addicted to our phones. It feels like they're with us all the time. I mean, I'm sitting here doing this podcast with you, and my phone is right here, and I can grab it, and it's right here. I could easily look stuff up, and I feel like half the day is spent doing this, looking at my phone. So sometimes it's great to be able to unplug. Now, this book has nothing to do with that, but I was just drawn to his message and being able to really, the book is called Deep Work, and really to be able to, be extremely productive. It feels like most of my days are very small tasks. I'm doing a lot of small tasks. I'm doing a lot of maybe menial work. I don't know how to say it, but just work that I feel like, man, am I really being truly productive in expanding my business, or am I just being busy? And so that was kind of the reasoning behind this book. And I feel like there was a lot of good stuff in the book to really help you focus on that. Now, with that said, I've still found myself doing all the menial tasks and not really being able to have the time in the day for that deep work as he suggests that you have. So I've not yet been able to truly implement it, but it is something that I really want to try and work on, and maybe have to go through the book again to really grasp everything and be able to do that.
Yeah, well, and I think some of the other things you're talking about, the other tasks, so he refers to that as shallow work, right?
Yep.
And those are so, in being an entrepreneur, we have so many shallow tasks, whether it's replying to emails or setting up this marketing campaign or doing this, that, and the other. It never ends, but how much of that is really getting us to our ultimate goals, you know? So yeah, the book is separated into two sections. Kind of the first section is going over the idea, and
Right.
just kind of promoting the idea that deep work is important. He gives examples of craftsmen who maybe somebody who's creating a tool and spending hours and hours, you know, crafting this special thing, and we look at somebody like that with, you know, some awe, or you know, we're inspired by their focused effort on how much effort it takes to produce that thing, that craft. And yet when we look at, you know, people like us who are in knowledge work and we're dealing with ideas, uh, we're just scattered on so many different things that and it seems that that's more idolized. You know, if you're busy, that looks like a good thing, right?
Yep.
So but he's promoting that we should really focus on what is really meaningful, and put a lot more of our effort on those things, and remove the distractions that are not helping that out.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's funny how, you know, you talk about the craftsman, and I enjoy doing stuff, you know, working with my hands. I built a patio table just recently, and I can sit here and I can focus on something like that for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours. And I can go, like, literally could start at, you know, 7 a.m. and work until probably 7, 8 p.m. without ever taking really a break. Maybe I have to go to the bathroom, but I don't even have to eat, quite frankly. I have to, you know, I literally can work all day nonstop and concentrate. But then when you're using your brain, when you're doing this essentially non-movement work, it's very challenging, in my opinion, for myself to really concentrate for a long period of time. So it's just a different challenge to do. And when you've got this busy work, the shallow work, the brown work, it's really easy to go all day with that, because you've got a lot of little tasks, and you're checking off the boxes, and you feel like you're being very productive, right? And I think that's the biggest kind of, maybe the biggest false feeling of being productive is that you're checking off all these little boxes, and you go, okay, I got this done, this done, this done, this done. But in reality, did you really help expand your business, or are you just maintaining and staying busy?
Yep. You're A lot of times we're just putting out fires and
Yep.
responding to everybody else's concerns,
Yep.
which, you know, those are important things, but
They're important things, but can we hire other people to do it? Does it need to be done right now?
yeah.
I don't, was it in this book, or maybe it was a podcast I heard, I can't remember, but somebody was talking about, and maybe it was in this book, you know, about the emails. And when somebody sends an email, they don't answer it for 24 hours. Maybe it was even 48 hours, but they don't answer for 24 or 48 hours. And they do that on purpose, is to train the people that are sending them emails, basically, that I'm not going to get back to you right away. That email is not my life priority.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think he said that specifically. He did talk about emails and putting kind of a filter on people, like in a place where people could find your email address. Um, put some expectations up there, like please use this email if for this purpose, or
Yep.
and if you have a different purpose, then contact this other person.
Yep.
He was talking. I believe he is a professor, and so he's in the academic world, and he was able to direct people to different situations. But um, or simply not providing your email address. He gave examples of people that don't do email at all. I think he said somebody had said, I've replied to emails for 20 years. I'm done. I don't need to reply to any more emails.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yeah, it depends on your line of work, right? It's challenging for most lines of work to get by without email, but hey, if you don't have to use it, maybe don't use it. But I think a lot of us can take a lesson from that. Not even that we have to get rid of our email, but maybe we don't have to make all this stuff such a part of our life. I see it on like Facebook, and I see it all over the place. Um, Bigger pockets, wherever people are always posting on, hey, what's the best app for this, what's the best app for that, and we're always focusing on getting all these apps and all these things that are going to streamline, and we think it's going to make life more simple when oftentimes it just complicates things even more. So sometimes we have to take a step back and understand, are we really trying to simplify our life, or are we just actually complicating it even more?
yeah, there's a lot of great things about all these technologies, but you're right. You have to use wisdom and figure out if they're right, if they're actually helping your situation out.
Yeah. Yeah. So what other points, John, did you take from the book, or did you like it from the book, or maybe dislike?
Yeah, well, I like the concepts. I think it's going to be a real big challenge to apply it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's I think it goes in line with a lot of what we've talked about in the past. The idea of time blocking, and
Yeah.
at this particular time you're working on this particular task, and you have to turn off all the other distractions, whether that be email, as we've talked about, or social media. He talked a lot about unplugging from social media. That seems, in my line of work, like craziness, but
Seems
but
counterintuitive. It just doesn't seem like it would be the right thing to do. However, and same with my line of work, but one of the things I do, this might alienate some people, but one of the things I do is when I go onto Facebook, I don't really spend much time on Facebook. I go on there and it's very quick. I'm on there. I'm posting maybe something that I need to post or I want to post, and then I might go through really quickly and do a quick, like, fast scroll and see if anything is informative that I want to catch. I'm usually limiting my time to about 5 minutes on Facebook, and I try not to go onto Facebook more than 2 times a day, 5 times or 5 minutes each time. So I'm spending 10 minutes on there. LinkedIn, Bigger Pockets, those are mainly the three that I use. Um, those I even spend less time on. Those I usually try to go on 1 time a day and spend no more than 5 minutes on. So I'm spending a grand total of about 20 minutes on social media, and I'm not sitting there reading everybody's posts. So if you're my Facebook friend, I'm sorry. I probably haven't seen all of your posts. But if it's something that catches my attention, I might see it, I might read it, I might like it, but I just don't spend a ton of time on there. So that, right or wrong, is just how I like to do things, because I can't spend my time sitting there reading about everybody's life. I might enjoy it. It might be entertaining for me, but it just isn't purposeful for me.
Yeah, and he talks a lot about that in just the idea of, well, so Facebook can be a tool either for fun, for connections, or for business, But he talked about the fact that just because you have a tool doesn't mean it's a better tool. It doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. So
Yeah.
I guess for me, um, or Facebook for one is a serves a couple different purposes. For one, allows me to catch updates from family members, from friends, and also, like you mentioned, kind of updates or information from the real estate market, what's going on, what other people are accomplishing. And it allows you to interact with those people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
One of the things I probably misguided people when I say I spend 5 minutes, because I may find something on Facebook or LinkedIn or Bigger Pockets that I end up reading. And so even though I scrolled through real quick, I go, boom, I see an article that sticks out in my head. I'll click on that article and read that. Now, I don't really consider that time on Facebook, because usually it's not like somebody's like update post where they're ranting about something. Usually it's like an article that talks about the real estate industry, or talks about the economy, or talks about something that is in my line of business and it's educational. So then I do spend a little bit more time on social media, if you want to consider that part of it. But I'm not just spending time scrolling through and liking people's posts on their puppies and their, stuff like that. So, if you're my Facebook friend, I would encourage you to spend a lot of time on my Facebook page and look at all the stuff I post, of course. Uh,
yeah, and I guess one thing, this is kind of getting off topic from the book a little bit, but when we use social media, I think it's really good to be intentional. Like, somebody identify people that could be either, on the personal side, somebody that you want to be friends with, closer with, maybe your family members or whatnot. And instead of just scrolling and viewing, maybe interact with them, maybe use Facebook as the tool that it is to actually connect with them in a
yeah.
deeper level. Or on a business side, maybe trying to use it as a tool to connect with a potential business partner, or to deepen that relationship, or to find an opportunity. So, you can
Yeah.
kind of passively use it, or you can actively and intentionally use it. So,
Yeah, that's a very, very good point, John. A lot of uh, that's something I probably do less than what I should. Is I don't use it as that tool to really truly connect with people and make comments versus just throwing up a thumbs up. The people that are actually making small comments, or make adding some value, the people that are getting probably the most out of the platform that they're using. So very good point there, and something I probably don't do nearly as good of a job as that I could.
sure. Well, what else can we kind of pull out from this book? Um,
Well, I think obviously the main theme is in its name, right? We're trying to find things that are going to increase our business, that are going to make us more productive, and we're putting a lot of time and effort into it. So you're doing deep work. So that means you're putting, several hours into that, and you're really focusing on it. You're shutting everything else off. You're getting yourself into a rhythm and a flow state to where you can really then grow your business. And I think that's the main point of the book. A lot of good points. Again, can you actually put it to work? That's maybe the biggest challenge. Now, he does talk about, most people need to focus and do all that, but he does talk about some people who are very good at doing many, many different things throughout the day and have tons of businesses and are very successful at it as well. So, um, but his main point is, look, you need to be able to sit down, focus, and spend quality time and energy on one task and have truly deep work.
Yep.
And he also talks about how it doesn't just come naturally. Like especially in our world where we've got all these distractions happening, where things are moving a mile a minute, where we've got you're spending the majority of your day looking at your phone, and we're doing everything to like always be distracted, and we never just like slow down and take our time and be bored. So it's challenging to have that deep work, and it's like a muscle you have to work out. You're not going to start doing 4 hours of deep work a day, but if we, work out those muscles, we might be able to get to that spot where we're doing 3-4 hours worth of deep work each day, and we're going to be very productive doing it.
Yep. Well, and I think he said about 4 hours is close to the max that he would recommend, because it like a muscle, it can get worn out. So you need to allow it to recover. Allow it.
Yeah.
There is a place still to have shallow work. So even though he recommends unplugging from social media, it doesn't have to be
All
forever.
day. Yep. Yep. I believe it was this book that he talks about, I'm also reading, so I got done reading Deep Work and I started reading The Power of Habits, which is a very good book so far as well. We should maybe even talk about that our next time or two, but, he talks about us always, that's what it was, is always being distracted, and how, again, I was just distracted there. So always being distracted, and how we just never really are focusing on that one thing. We're always trying to do something. I mean, half of society, are probably more than that, while they're driving the car, they're trying to check their voicemails and text messages and social media and email and stuff like that. They're not even concentrating on driving. We can't do that for the 45 minutes, that we want to. We have to be checking all this stuff. We're at our kids' baseball game, and instead of watching our kids play baseball, we're checking our social media posts, and we're, updating our email and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like we just can't sit there, and a lot of us can't sit there and even be bored. We can't sit there and think and have real thoughts come to our head. We're always so engrossed in something else that's taking our attention that we can't really focus and, just be bored, just let our minds wander.
Yep. He definitely recommends embracing boredom. I can relate to, just driving home and you hear those buzzes on your phone, whether it's a
Just
text
do a
message
quick this.
or whatever it is. And, they're doing that crackdown in Minnesota, probably many other states too, that you got to be hands-free while you're on the road.
Yep.
And so just really being conscious about not picking up the phone. So
Yep. Is that enacted already? Is that already passed?
I believe it's passed. I'm not sure if it's effective, but
Okay.
I think they're starting to crack down it, even if it's not effective. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's good. I mean, it's been like that in California for a long time. I remember my wife and I took a trip to California probably close to 10 years ago, and it was a hands-free state, I believe, back then. So I'm not sure why it took us so long to do that. I think it's a very good thing.
yeah,
It's still not going to end the problems that we have, but it might help a little bit.
yep, helps the good people stay good.
Yeah, well, it can't hurt, right? I mean, because I think it's just easier if the police officer sees you on your phone anyway. If they just see your phone, they can immediately pull you over and give you a ticket. So it might make you think twice about it.
Yep. So when you're driving, embrace boredom. It's a good exercise for
Absolutely.
tying it back in here.
Right.
Good exercise for whatever it is that you're doing. Just to allow your mind to be bored
To
and
think.
to
I
think.
mean, yeah, we don't take time to think. And when you don't take time to think, it just, you're always, you always have other people's thoughts in your brain, and some of that's okay, but we also have to have our own, process and our own, just thoughts, and be able to really reflect. And if you don't have time to do that because you're always so busy on some sort of social media or whatever, it's just never going to really be able to develop and grow.
Yep.
So
Well, if there's nothing else, what would you consider? How would you rate this book? Would you consider it one you would put on your annual reading list?
it's a book I enjoyed. I think I need to actually go through it again. I think there was a lot of good points to it. It wasn't like a riveting book by any means, but I think it was a really good book. I think it served a very good purpose. I think it's a very good reminder. So yeah, I would definitely put it on the, in the top, um, call it 50% for sure of books. If you're just looking for a general business book that helps you, strive and get better in business, I would say there's definitely a book to put on your list.
Yeah, definitely challenges your mindset and a lot of the other conventional thinking, especially with the push so much to be more and more involved in social media. To see a competing viewpoint is interesting. So
Yeah, and it kind of like his other book is probably a book I shouldn't read, because part of me just wants to like go live in the woods and completely unplug from the world, and never be seen again. Um, so if I read something like that, I'll end up doing that, and then nobody will hear from me again.
okay, sounds good.
I'll be a nomad wandering mountains.
Well, if you find a way to make money doing that, it could work.
Yeah, exactly. That's maybe the problem. But you don't need much money if you're just going to be a nomad, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, we better wrap up before my brain just keeps on going into random thoughts.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. To our viewers and listeners, we really appreciate you tuning in to some of our random conversations here, but hopefully you get something out of it. And we'd like to invite you to participate in the conversation. So go ahead and comment on either the YouTube video, or comment on our Facebook page. And we really appreciate the ratings and reviews on iTunes, wherever it is that you're listening to us. So thank you so much for listening.
Excellent. Well, thanks, John, and have a fantastic rest of the day. Make every day Saturday. Hey, thanks for listening to the show. Couple things before we go. Again, go on to our Facebook page, Pillars of Wealth. We'd love to have you on there. Go on to iTunes, give us a rating and review, and subscribe to the show. Also, don't forget, reach out to me if you want any help with potentially growing your business, and reach out to John Stiles to help you buy or sell real estate. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Have a fantastic the rest of the day. And as I say, make every day a Saturday.